Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this evening's update on Invest 91L. So, Invest 91L now has a 70% chance of tropical cyclone formation over the next 48 hours and a 90% chance of tropical cyclone formation over the next 5 days. And we still have Tropical Depression 12 west of the Cape Verde Islands with a maximum sustained winds of 35 miles per hour, a minimum central pressure of 1007 millibars, and is moving west-northwest at 10 miles per hour. And Tropical Depression 12 is going to dissipate in the next couple of days due to unfavorable wind shear. Looking at the satellite imagery for Invest 91L, Invest 91L still remains disorganized and is bringing a whole lot of heavy rain to Trinidad and Tobago, as well as northern Venezuela. Invest 91L is actually skirting over land in northern Venezuela right now, and this is going to have implications for how strong it's going to get down the road. And I actually have some good news regarding the potential intensity on this uh, compared with yesterday's update. So, looking at the wind shear map, uh, we actually were having a little bit of wind shear on the northern side of the system of about 25 to 30 knots, and with the system itself dealing with only about 10 to 20 knots. And unfortunately, as it moves west through the ABC Islands and into the southwestern Caribbean, it still looks like there's going to be almost no wind shear for Invest 91L to contend with. So there's still a possibility that it rapidly intensifies across the west central Caribbean. Looking at the upper ocean heat content map, and this is the first time I'm showing you this, uh, we have an insane amount of upper ocean heat content in the central and western Caribbean. But notice we do have a little blue spot where 91L will eventually move. So we might have a little bit of help from the ocean not being so conducive for rapid intensification if Invest 91L moves through this patch of cooler water here. But it could really intensify as it moves through this patch of very warm upper upper heat content uh, between the between Haiti, Jamaica, and northern Colombia. So we're going to have to really watch Invest 91L once it gets around the ABC Islands and north of Colombia. Looking at the latest intensity model guidance for Invest 91L, and this is where the good news comes in. Uh, and this is where the good news comes in. If you were watching yesterday's tropical update, uh, almost all the models had Invest 91L becoming a Category 3 hurricane in the next 72 to 96 hours. Well, now the land interaction with northern South America is expected to keep Invest 91L uh, much or from developing until the next 48 hours. And this is going to ultimately keep the system much weaker as it approaches Central America in the next 3 to 4 days. We're only looking at a upper high-end tropical storm and low-end Category 1 hurricane now, whereas yesterday we were looking at an all-out major hurricane. So this is really good news for my friends across Central America. But I will continue to watch this to see if the models trend stronger again. And looking at the spaghetti model plot for where Invest 91L is going to be moving in the next 24 hours, 24 to 36 hours, 91L is going to be moving through the ABC Islands. In the next 48 hours, it's going to be moving across northwestern Colombia. And in the next 96 hours, Invest 91L will be approaching, looks like Nicaragua now as a weak hurricane or strong tropical storm. And then we'll move across Honduras and then to southern Belize and eventually into southern Mexico over the next 5 to 7 days as of today's update. So I'm going to continue to watch these spaghetti models to see if the trend continues for a Nicaragua landfall, or if they shift to the north or the south. Looking at the latest European model run, uh, we have the Invest 91L down here, bringing heavy rain to Trinidad, Tobago, Barbados, Grenada, and northern Venezuela. And as we go into tomorrow, the European model skirts Invest 91L across northern Venezuela, hampering its development. And then as we head into Friday, the European model keeps the system very weak at maybe a tropical depression forming by Friday, October the 7th, across the ABC Islands. And then as Invest 91L begins to move west of the ABC Islands and Colombia by Saturday, this is when it is expected to become a tropical storm, and this is where it might rapidly intensify right before it hits Nicaragua late Saturday or early Sunday. And the European model makes a landfalling a strong tropical storm in central Nicaragua by Sunday, October the 9th during the morning. Looking at the GFS model, the GFS model shows Invest 91L bringing rain to Trinidad, Tobago, the Southern Windward Islands, and Venezuela, and going forward, also skirts across the northern Venezuelan coast, hampering its development through Friday, and the GFS model moves it into the southwestern Caribbean by Saturday once it moves past the ABC Islands, and the GFS starts to rapidly strengthen Invest 91L into a hurricane as it hits northeastern Nicaragua on Monday in the GFS model. So the GFS model is moving the system a little bit slower than the European model. So we're going to have to keep our eye on that as well. And finally, we're going to be looking at the rainfall totals for Invest 91L across the Caribbean, the ABC Islands, and across Central America. So as of today, in additional rainfall to what's already fallen, we could be seeing about 2 to 5 inches of additional rainfall across Trinidad, Tobago, northeastern Venezuela, Grenada, and about 1 to 3 inches of additional rain in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and about 1 inch across Barbados, and then across St. Lucia about 1 inch, as well as across Dominica about 1 inch. The ABC Islands are expected to get about 2 to 4 inches according to the European model, as well as northwestern Venezuela about 1 to 3 inches, northern Colombia about 2 to 4 inches, and then we are expecting, as of right now, about 3 to 7 inches with isolated totals up to 10 inches across Nicaragua and about 2 to 6 inches across Honduras if the current trajectory holds. And looking at the GFS model's precipitation accumulation forecast, the GFS is a lot more bullish on precipitation across the Caribbean and Central America, with the GFS putting about 2 to 4 inches across Grenada, Trinidad, Tobago, far northern Venezuelan coastline, and about 1 to 3 inches from Barbados through Dominica southward. We have the GFS putting 4 to 6 inches across the ABC Islands and across the entire northern coast of Venezuela, as well as northwestern Venezuela and northeastern Colombia. And the GFS puts very heavy rainfall totals across northeastern Nicaragua, northeastern Honduras, Belize, and into southeastern Mexico. And the GFS puts anywhere from 5 to 15 inches. So we could be looking at a serious flooding threat across Central America from Invest 91L. and then even some flooding concerns across the ABC Islands, northern Venezuela, and likely some ongoing flooding across the Southern Windward Islands. So I'm going to continue to monitor Invest 91L for my friends across the Caribbean, Northern South America, and Central America. So make sure you stay tuned for my future updates, as I'll be making updates every evening until 91L impacts Central America. So thanks for watching this evening's tropical update, and have a wonderful evening, my friends.